Hello, I'm Elisabeth Myers, American lawyer, bringing you another Tilila Report from Marrakech, Morocco. In the North African language of Tamazight, Tilila means freedom, and that's what we cover. Anything that impacts democracy, the rule of law, and your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On this Mother's Day edition, I want to say Happy Mother's Day, but I am not happy. I am not celebrating the rights of mothers because a leaked draft opinion indicates that the US Supreme Court is about to revoke our most fundamental right to privacy and overturn Roe v. Wade. I am the mother of 2 girls. It should have been 3, but my first twin daughter lived only 6 hours because of a fetal anomaly. I might have had 4 children if I had not had to have a life-saving abortion of an ectopic pregnancy that undoubtedly would have killed me, or at the very least caused me excruciating pain and probably rendered me unable to conceive another child. The arguments against abortion are falsely premised on notions that the question of abortion is a simple moral question, that women use abortion willy-nilly as a method of contraception, that pregnancy and childbirth are just a routine thing, and that a baby can just be given up for adoption once born. No big deal, right? Wrong. Pregnancy is complicated, expensive, and dangerous, especially if you're a woman of color in America. Without abortion, pregnancy can be a death sentence. The US has the highest maternal mortality rate of all developed Western countries, and it has the lowest access to healthcare for pregnant women. 6 in 10 women who have had abortions are already mothers, and half of them already have 2 or more children. The draft opinion says that neither the right to abortion nor the right to privacy appear in the Constitution, and that Roe v. Wade was egregiously wrong from the start. And this despite Justice Alito's testimony under oath during his confirmation hearing that Roe v. Wade was an important case precedent that had been affirmed time after time. The Supreme Court is poised to eviscerate the right to privacy that undergirds not only women's right to bodily autonomy, but everyone else's rights too. Without the right to privacy, you can just forget about contraception, intraracial marriage, interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, what you do in your own bedroom with another consenting adult. Just forget about a free public education for all, and just be ready for when the police want to search your teenage daughter's cell phone without a warrant, where she tracks her menstrual cycles so that they can find out whether she was pregnant or not and prosecute her for an illegal abortion. Abortion is not the end, it's only the beginning, because the court is now packed with so-called conservative originalists and textualists who are willing to ignore the original text in the 9th Amendment, which says, "The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people." In other words, the people already have rights. The Constitution does not give you rights. It merely recognizes rights that you already have. It does not need to include the word abortion or privacy for reproductive rights to be retained by the people. But it took only 3 days after the opinion came to light for a bill to be introduced in Louisiana, defining human life to begin at the moment of fertilization and defining abortion as homicide. If that bill passes, that will throw out not only abortion, but also certain forms of contraception, as well as IVF. 13 states now have a trigger law that will outlaw abortion almost the moment Roe v. Wade is no longer the law of the land. Take Missouri. Its statute defines life as beginning at conception, which would also outlaw forms of contraception that have been used for decades, like the IUD and hormonal therapies, and perhaps the more recent Plan B. And if you think that women, well, the ones who can afford it, will just up and go to another state for reproductive healthcare services, well, no, the far right is trying to get you for that too. Tennessee already has a law outlawing abortion on its books, but it just enacted a bill that requires that any medical clinician be physically present when abortion pills are being administered, even though federal regulations allow for mail delivery nationwide. And that physical presence undoubtedly will be made illegal when Roe is overruled. And at the federal level, the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, has just proposed to pass a national ban on abortion, though through federal legislation if the far right gets in November. Some blue states are fighting back, but it's not going to be enough. In New York, for example, the state Senate may consider codifying a right to privacy, not just abortion, in law. The Senate Majority Leader called out the hypocrisy of the far right. She said, "There is some kind of radical agenda by so many of my Republican colleagues that seem to feel that it's okay to storm the Capitol, but it's not okay to have control over your own body. I am very confused," she said. Well, I'm not confused. This latest assault on civil rights makes perfect sense because the far right has used the anti-abortion crusade as a means to galvanize power for the last 5 decades. What is horrifying to me and many other lawyers and academics is not only that the draft presages that a constitutional right will be revoked for the first time in American history, but the language and tone used by Alito in the draft shows a profound contempt for the justices who signed on to Roe v. Wade in 1973 and for women themselves. Alito's opinion shows just exactly what the far right think about women: domestic baby suppliers. And if you don't believe me, check out footnote 46 on page 34 of the draft opinion, which cites the limited, quote, domestic supply of infants available to be adopted as a policy justification to outlaw abortion. And then the opinion also cites not just once, but 9 times, a British misogynist from the 1600s who not only rejected the possibility of rape within marriage, but believed in executing women and girls accused of witchcraft. And just remember how they did that. They would strap them into a water dunker and hold them underwater. If they survived, they were a witch, and then they were burnt at the stake. And if they didn't, then they weren't a witch because they'd failed the test, but they were dead all the same. Now, I hate drama, I hate hyperbole, but my friends, my sisters, my brothers, fellow mothers, this is a 12-alarm fire. In the words of Martin Niemöller, a Lutheran pastor in Germany who opposed Hitler and spent 7 years in a Nazi concentration camp because of it. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Hillary Clinton said in response to the draft opinion that is now poised to revoke women's established constitutional rights, "You have no idea who they will come for next." Well, actually, we do. Contraception and marriage equality are likely next, and other established constitutional rights grounded in the right to privacy that are not enumerated in the Constitution. And get this, a Republican Senate candidate in Arizona is now calling for a ban on condoms. Taken to its logical extreme, this far-right agenda, if Obergefell and Lawrence, cases upon which Roe relied, are struck down next, it may once again be illegal to be gay in the US. The sick irony is that for the radical right, protecting life ends after birth. They won't support affordable childcare. They won't support healthcare and nutrition programs. They won't support maternity leave like every other developed country in the world. They won't support a free public education for all or loan forgiveness for the massive amount of student debt that is crushing our young educated people. And they won't support reasonable gun restrictions. Let me add just one more shocking development that demonstrates so clearly that if we let the radical right continue on this path, it will actually be killing born babies and not just not supporting them. Stores in the US right now do not have enough baby formula. Yes, you heard that right. Manufacturers say they're producing as much formula as they can, but it's still not enough to meet the current demand. Big pharma chains like CVS and Walgreens and others like Target and Walmart are limiting nationwide across the US the amount of formula customers can buy at one time. What are we going to do with all these babies that are forced to be born and their non-lactating adopted parents cannot even feed them? How will the right justify that? I suppose they will just claim they are witches and deserve to die. As if this latest assault, revoking a constitutional right, is not enough to get you concerned or mobilized. Remember that in at least 27 states, the GOP has introduced or passed more than 250 bills limiting voting rights. In fact, the Florida far right is so fearful of your vote that a new Senate bill would make it illegal to help someone register to vote. Just think about that, especially if you, like me, are a member of Democrats Abroad, an organization whose actual mission is to help people exercise their constitutional right to vote. So let's mobilize, galvanize, and crystallize opposition to the brazen revocation of rights that is underway by the Republican minority. Use your voice and vote. Go to votefromabroad.org and request your ballot if you live abroad. I just got mine for Virginia primary. Wherever you are, get active. Join Democrats Abroad and help out with the new Democrats Abroad Africa Committee. You can email me at Elisabeth_Myers@democratsabroad.org. Remember, Elizabeth is spelled with an S. Volunteer, appear, be there for American democracy, and let's let freedom ring. And that is the name of this report.